So here is the troll with all the supports removed, minus the arms of course, and the legs printed out, so I've glued them on. I've also got this base with a few skulls, so I mean he's got skulls on his belt, so I thought that kind of matched the theme quite nicely. So that's all been pinned and glued, and a little bit of filler in the base to get that all together. Of course he's missing his arms. One arm is here. It's all printed. He's holding a weapon, so I just need to remove the supports off that. The other I did separately. So he has like a small axe also that's stuck to the back of his belt that he's not holding. And then yeah, on the right it's a big like gauntlet, so a big metallic spiked type arm. So that's why it's so much thicker than his other arm. So yeah, but that is how we go, about 61% done, 66%. Sorry. So yeah. When that's done, I'll glue it all together and then all the parts will be on the troll. Well, we have a small problem that needs repairing. Not sure whether you can really pick it up on the all-white print, but it's misprinted the thumb, unfortunately. It's kind of missing a big part of the thumb. So what I use in instances like this is this stuff called spot putty. It's a car product, and it dries reasonably quick. I think it's like 30 minutes, and then you can sand it. It is sandable, but in this particular case it's such a small area I probably won't need to do that. But yeah, this is basically how I repair stuff like this. Okay, so once that dries and is primed, is painted, you know, it'll just look like part of the model. You'll never know that there was basically a hole there, but that's how I fill in holes on 3D prints. So this is his spiked mole sort of arm. It's a nice metallic armour. Unfortunately, the little cut and key part didn't print out right, but still there's a big surface there for gluing, so should be fine. As with all my gluing, it's Sky Grip 16. I am yet to find anything that works better on PLA. Yep, looks about right. So you press it for 60 seconds. Should be about enough. So it's a nice fit. No real big gaps or seams. I mean, it's kind of a bit of an armour that sits over his arm is the idea anyway, so that's coming together. Got the little axe that sits on his back, but I'm gonna paint the belts and stuff before I glue that in place. I'll probably leave that off for now. And the same with his right arm. So I've got no problem putting that on because it's got a lot of separation from the body, but this arm with the big axe, it's right up close. Do I want to make my life easier? I think I do. I think I'll try and paint this area first before I stick his right arm on. But yeah, so all the parts are done. So I've just been working on a colour selection for the troll project. As you do these days, I used AI to generate a whole bunch of sort of like reference images for a troll. And so I've kind of used those to form a colour palette. So the main three colours, of course there'll be lots of other colours as well for smaller areas, but the main three colours that I'm going to be using are for the skin, pale blue, for the leather wraps an orange brown, and for the base of his like metal maul and metal axe on the back will be a bronze. Although his main right hand weapon is going to be more of a bone sort of colour. I think it's more like teeth from an animal than metal. But anyway, that is kind of like the reference images and where we're going with it. So today we're just going to start some of the colour blocking on the troll model. Like the troll's had its priming done. Even though this isn't the final colour that I'll be using for the skin, just using some Montmartre pastel eggshell blue for the skin areas to get them a bit of a colour block with the blue tone. And then of course I'll go over with the final colour after this is dried. I've adjusted my main webcam, like moved it up a bit because it's such a larger model than the bear riders that I'm working on as well, and also larger than the warrior barbarian holding the purple monster head. So those models came to about there in height wise, so the troll is almost double. It's back to a large format, so just needed to adjust the webcam a bit to make sure I could fit more in, so hopefully you can see the painting better. Of course the end result for the skin won't look blue because I'll either wash or dry brush onto that, you know, to make it all look a lot more dirty and worn, but the base colour is a blue tinge skin as opposed to like the flesh that you'd have a sort of like more pinky rosy type colours for humans. I have put a little bit of spot putty underneath because I had to pin the model to keep it upright, so there are basically 2 pins coming up from underneath, so it did make it a little bit wobbly, but I've put some putty underneath and now it doesn't wobble, which is good. Wobbles drive me crazy. Probably go for a mud sort of colour for the base. I'll make the skulls and his feet pop, give it a bit of contrast, a bit of redness. I am denied about the metallic colour I was going to go because there's a lot of metal, especially on the left arm. So it's going to be quite a dominant colour as well. So should I go like a gunmetal grey? Should I go something more traditional like a bronze? But he's not like a warrior as such. So in the end I've decided to go with like a darker metal bronze as the main metal colour. I actually had this base and it just kind of sat in my workshop for, I don't know, probably close to a year. And it had some other bits and bobs on it, like cattle head sort of design. I think it was actually from the Legolas model originally that I downloaded off the internet, and from memory it also was in the completely wrong scale for the Legolas model that I was making. Like if you look at my Legolas model, which is like a huge model, basically only 1 foot would have fitted on this base. So something in the scaling process didn't quite go right. But anyway, instead of just throwing it in the bin, because like it was about a 2-day print, I think, the base, I was like, oh, I'll probably be able to reuse it for something at some point. And when I saw the belt on this troll, I was like, ooh, I know the perfect use. So I took the cattle head or whatever the heck they were off and just left the skulls in the front, which are just absolutely perfect for this model, and it's about the right size too. But because it wasn't the actual designed base for this, basically, which has the cut and key slots to fit into it, when I tried to attach it, yeah, it became pretty obvious pretty quickly that I was going to need to pin it. In some models you need to do that, like the Deadpool versus Wolverine model. Wonderful design. It was actually a free model. But it quickly became clear that the way it was designed wasn't actual practical for 3D printing. Like the Wolverine has got his 3 claws out and is lifting up Deadpool, but just wasn't going to be physically enough strength in 3 little bits of PLA plastic to hold the model of the Deadpool. So what I did there was I got a nail, long nail, and pinned it with that, whereas with these I've used screws. Basically screwed from the bottom. I pre-drilled the holes and figured out where the middle of the leg was and just got out my power drill and pin them that way. It's still glue as well, and then after it kind of sat for half an hour or so. I then reinforced with more glue that I spread around the feet. So just doing everything I could to get it to be stable and secure. I mean, the last thing you want is spending a lot of time on a model and then it falls off a shelf or something and potentially destroys it. So you want it to be reasonably stable and secure. The spot putty that I use is a reddy brown tinge, so that's where all this red brown colour comes from. I did have to do a bit of repair work on the base, just kind of tried to make the texture look more like mud rather than the sharp cut edges of the plastic in the areas where I had to use a rotary tool to cut it. That's a bit of skin there. And do all the legs before I move on to the upper body. Feet, legs. It looks like loincloth. That's all loincloth. Okay, that's fine. One of the reasons why I like big models like this, I mean, they're cool because, you know, it's a big model, but you really get to see the detail in the design. You know, obviously the smaller a model is, the less you actually get to see that stuff, but on a reasonably big model like this one, you can see all the chains and all the bones. Plus, come on, like a troll is meant to be big, it's not meant to be a small thing. With colour blocking, it's just a medium-sized coarse brush and slapping it on, basically. There's not a lot of refinement to this style of painting. So we're very much in the second phase of painting the models. This isn't what I would call detail painting, this is straight colour blocking. I haven't decided what colour I'll make his, what would you call those, horns, spikes, beaks, some kind of spiky protrusion. Maybe a darker blue, maybe a lighter blue. It's amazing what you can do with AI images these days. I mean, I'm using the AI to create my thumbnails now, hopefully making my thumbnails a little bit more interesting. I mainly use this one called Flux Pro. Do use a bit of the DALL-E 3 as well. It's just amazing what you can get, and for free too. Like the glyph site I use, you get like 20 free images a day, and 20 images is a reasonable amount. Obviously, it's like most things, you get what you pay for, and you can certainly pay a lot of money to subscribe to AI sites, but I have yet needed to do so. I'm going to have to start watching where I grip. Maybe I should start holding you from the base. So those are leather straps, it's metal plating. There's also the chain there, so I may end up making the chain in a different colour just to add to the textures of it. As the bronze is still reasonably golden, but like got a hammered copper colour there, which I reckon would go well for the chains. That's the fun part of this, really, is the working out of the colour schemes, and it's pretty cool, pretty fun hobby, painting models like this. And at the end of the day, you get to put them on your shelf and look at them. which I certainly do. Head while I've got you upright. The seams were pretty well designed on this as well, like the arm. There's no real need for filler or anything like that. You know, like I say, the filler that I've got on the base is because I was basically melding two designs together. I don't in any way take any negative of the base from the actual designers that designed this model, because their base, I'm sure, would have just connected perfectly with the troll and all fine. But I just, like I said, had this particular base which I thought would fit in really well, and it was already printed. And it means I get to actually use it for something now. So that's all like some kind of animal skin, so that'll be a different colour. Okay. So hold on without stuffing anything up. So the pale blue colour that I will end up painting as the skin has got a bit more of a grey tone than this, like sort of sky type blue, I guess. So definitely won't look as bright as this does now, but that's alright. Get the coat of paint down. Okay, not much skin On the other hand, it's mainly leather wraps. Am I going to be able to lean that up? I think I should be able to paint both sides. Very happy with how the repair on that thumb worked out. I think that will look fine. Alrighty, so that is the very first stages of colour blocking the troll. So obviously a lot more work that's going to continue on with it, but yeah, you've got to start somewhere. So I'll leave that there. Is that going to balance? Yes. 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 Alright, thank you very much for watching.